Hello, I'm Harry, and here to continue on my topic on relic hunting. Today I'm talking about the popularity of relic hunting. So, as I may have talked about in my previous, talk, relic hunting, it's pretty much the rival to archaeology. Archaeology, while it has a certain methodology and practice that they must follow, relic hunters, they do not. And there's several different forms of relic hunting, which is kind of what I'm looking to get into today. And I also want to talk into how relic hunting has gotten very, very popular within our society and our culture. So, to begin with, relic hunting, it's a popular pastime with many historical enthusiasts. It goes by many different names, such as relic hunting, treasure hunting, and looting, artifact poaching, etc. And the name by which it's called usually reflects the attitude of which is being reflected to. And it's a very controversial topic in the conservation field. And if you look at my presentation, I have a picture of two men doing relic hunting. The first guy looks like he's just metal detecting in a farmer's field somewhere. He isn't doing much harm. But this bottom picture, though, this guy is actually on a World War II battlefield. Buddy Boo here is probably doing something he's not supposed to. Looks like he's digging a big hole, and looks like he's got some other equipment with him, a metal detector and some other things I can't really make out. But those are the guys who would who'd be known as artifact poachers or looters. And these are the guys who give relic hunters a very, very bad name. Well, there's different formats of relic hunting. First, we'll get into the most popular one, being metal detecting. If you look at the PowerPoint, you'll see two pictures of guys with metal detectors, and this is actually how I got into archaeology and conservation itself. My uncle used to do what the first guy's doing at the beach all the time. Well, this is the most popular because it's the most affordable, it's cheap, and it's simple. And the more expensive you go with metal detecting, the more complicated it gets, and the more things you will find. Metal detector I have, it's probably around maybe $200, which is on the cheaper end. But these things can go as high as $5,000. So the more expensive you get with metal detecting, the more involved in it you are. So it's really just how much money you're willing to drop. Another form of relic hunting, which is done through ground surveys. Now, ground surveys can be done many different ways. It can just be someone walking through a field looking for dips and formations in the ground just by eyesight. And what you're looking for are, sometimes you can just be looking for artifacts on the ground like arrowheads, projectile points, things of that sort. Or you can be looking for, as I said, those dips in the ground. They could be where structures were, or they could be burials or something like that. So that can tell you that there's human activity there, and if there's human activity in that area, then that can indicate that there's something left behind. And some will just leave it there and go from that, or others will take it a step further and use highly expensive and highly complicated equipment such as ground-penetrating radar, totaling machines, and magnetometry scanners to define points of interest. Totaling machines, a lot of you probably see those a lot here on campus. Actually, whenever they are about to break ground for construction, those tripods with the camera-looking things on there, and the guys with the vest. Well, they're doing surveys, and those things are using our totaling machines. And the job of these machines is basically to show how level the ground is, show if there's any unevenness to the ground, and they're very, very good at finding such dips and formations in the ground, as I was talking about earlier. So they're favored by archaeologists and relic hunters both. And as for GPR and magnetometry, it's highly, highly, highly expensive. You don't just go to Lowe's or Walmart and buy a GPR scanner. It's, in fact, GPR is so expensive that we can't. Our own department here at Longwood can't even afford one because it's so dang expensive. You have to have someone who's specialized in GPR to go out and do GPR for you. So, but magnetometry is cheaper, so it's not that bad. But moving on, the next one, which is probably the most impressive or exciting, I think, is magnet fishing. I've never done this, but I've always wanted to do it. It's, as the name implies, it's fishing with a magnet. You just drop a line with a powerful magnet on the end, and the strength of the magnet can just depend on how committed you are to doing it. And instead of catching fish, you're looking for trophies. These trophies could range from simple junk, such as one guy's caught a pair of pliers that dropped in the water, and another guy had his magnet covered in coins. Another guy pulled out a Civil War era revolver. So that's definitely a scale of many different things here, and many of these they attract a different amount of attention. So magnet fishing, it receives a lot of criticism because it destroys waterbeds and fish homes. But at the same time, though, it's cleaning up our waterways, though, of junk that can be harmful. Metal detecting, archaeologists use it. Both metal detecting and ground surveys, archaeologists use it just as much as relic hunters do. However, it's how they use it is what draws criticism. So a metal detectorist, as they're called, just an amateur, would just walk up and down the beach and maybe find some surface level things, or maybe 5 inches deep. But then you get the more I guess committed ones who go onto battlefields and look for relics that they're looting or poaching for. And that's going to require a little bit more effort, just bringing in shovels and maybe a pickaxe or two and a higher quality metal detector to go out and find these relics. And they're doing it illegally. So, and the methods in which they use to excavate, so an archaeologist has a process of creating a unit and then gently troweling away the dirt to not just preserve the unit that they're digging in, but also if they're gonna just heavily dig with spades, then that's gonna create, if they hit something, then that's gonna create a whole lot of damage. So they're just gonna gently trowel. As for a relic hunter or a looter, just by that digging, that can cause a lot of damage. And often they don't dig back, put back the dirt, so there's just holes everywhere where they dig at. Moving forward, I'm going to look at the public aspect of relic hunting. And the first case I'm going to look at is American Digger. So if you look at the slide, American Digger, it stars a former wrestler named Rick Savage. And Rick Savage, you can see his pictures here on the slide. At the bottom, it's got him holding the American flag tied to a shovel. Very patriotic. And on the top picture, it's got him looking down the hole. He's about to grab you. So very, very creative. But Savage, and later on he brings on his family, they toured the United States, and they're looking for archaeological and historical artifacts. And the way he does things, it's just him going places and turning up things. And this drew a whole lot of controversy from academics due to its sloppy methodology, and they accused him of planting artifacts. Now, for granted, this thing aired on Spike TV. This was not an academic show. This is for guys to sit down and see this former wrestler going around and finding cool stuff. And what also drew a lot of controversy about the show is that he wasn't giving this stuff away to museums or any sort of conservation group. He was selling it. So the things he would find, he would sell it on to auctions and for other people to have, which that's also a very controversial subject on its own with in the field of conservation. Whether this stuff should be sold off or should it just be just handed over to museums and conservation groups. But Mr. Savage here was selling it, and this drew a whole lot of controversy. And the show lasted maybe, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, but it went off the air, I think, a few years back. Next one I'm going to look at is Diggers. Now, if you look at the slide here, it stars two guys. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. At the bottom, it shows them again in their true primal form. I don't know why he's lifting up a metal detector. It's several $100s worth of equipment. Anyhow, American Digger, however, believed to be more academic. It starred these two relic hunters that did almost the same thing as Mr. Savage, only these guys did consult experts from time to time. And they did actually, they were more careful with what they were doing. It aired on National Geographic, which it's more scholarly than Spike TV, obviously, but it was still protested by academics. They claimed there's issues of malpractice, and these academics pretty much wanted to boycott the show from airing. I don't know how they're going to do that, but the claims didn't hold. So Diggers actually aired for several seasons, and it was more successful than American Digger. But that's going to bring me to the next show I'm going to bring up. This is The Curse of Oak Island. Now, if anyone has a History Channel dad like I do, then they've probably heard of this show. So, Curse of Oak Island's been on the air since 2014, and it shows a group of guys who are on this island, and they're trying to find this long-lost treasure. Well, this show, unlike the other two, hasn't gained all that much controversy. They've brought on a whole lot of experts, such as archaeologists, geologists, and many others, to assert their claims, and it's become so popular that there's a book published about it. So, this show's done quite well. In fact, it's been on for 8 seasons now, which is quite a lot. In fact, some are wondering if they're ever actually going to find the treasure. It airs on the History Channel, which I know the same channel that shows Ancient Aliens. Yeah, that guy. Has this show on it. So overall, I'll say this isn't a bad show though. It certainly isn't American Digger, which is just blown up with controversy. In fact, there are claims that Savage on American Digger would go ahead before shows and pre-plant things. There's an example that was brought up by a guy named Mike Pitt, who is he's an archaeologist who's criticizing the show, saying that on one episode Savage had uncovered a 19th century gold pan in Alaska for gold prospecting. The pan was in perfect condition, and Mike just points out to the whole, just to the case that how unlikely it is to go out and just find something like that in almost mint condition. So, American Digger, regardless, drew a whole lot of controversy about this. But each of these shows, though, you see different forms of relic hunting, which I mentioned before. Primarily metal detecting. In fact, that's pretty much all Rick Savage uses, just a metal detector. But Curse of Oak Island, that goes more into depth on other complicated forms of excavation. In fact, I think they use GPR a little bit. Since they probably have the money to do so. I can't imagine Rick Savage having the money, and I think Diggers, that's supposed to be a little bit more simpler, so I think they just rely on metal detectors. I don't think any of these shows have used the magnet fishing, which is a shame, because I think that's kind of cool. But anyhow, though, I thank you all for watching. Good luck on the rest of y'all's finals.